put it all over the ground, and the two parties would walk through. They would walk through this cut up sacrifice as a seal for the covenant. Think about that. Imagine that in your mind. For me, when I think about that, what also comes to my mind is Jesus. We are a covenant people in a covenant relationship when we say we believe in Jesus. Do you remember the words that you hear, the words that are spoken when we pour out the wine in communion? Usually something like this, right? This is the sign of the new covenant, sealed in my blood. Or, if you take the Bible version of what Jesus said, he would say, this cup that is poured out for you is the new covenant in my blood. And that's what we have in Jesus. A covenant sealed in his blood. A promise that we make to God. God, we don't deserve life, but you saved us. And we commit ourselves to you. We choose to be your people. And especially in marriage, we have to realize that we are a covenant people in a covenant relationship. Too many of us, I think, are influenced by the world trend that love is just an emotion. And that if you don't feel it, don't do it, because it ain't real. If you don't feel loving towards your spouse, don't be nice, because it ain't real. And sometimes I feel that. And I like to give that. Oh, I'm not feeling loving towards my wife. Oh, good luck getting those dishes done. If you don't feel loving towards your spouse, here's one for married couples. Don't have sex, because it won't be real. And I really believe that sex is one of those things that is manipulated too much in a marriage. I have to disagree with the thought that if you don't feel it, don't do it, because it ain't real. We are a covenant people in a covenant relationship. And that's why Jesus says, this is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. Jesus commands that we love one another as he has loved us. And I can't help but imagine Jesus before he went to the cross. Do you remember him praying in the garden? Before he goes to the cross, Jesus is in the garden praying. And he's not there praying, oh my gosh, God, I am so happy to go to the cross. It's going to be woo! What does he say? What does he pray? Jesus is in the garden and he's sweating, he's crying, and he's saying, God, I don't want to do this thing. It's going to be painful. It's going to be humiliating. I don't want to go there. And I'm asking you, don't let me go there. But not because I'm asking it, only if that is what you want for me. Only if it's your will for me. Jesus didn't want to go. He was at a low point in his life. But our God is in a covenant with us. And God says, you know what? Even if I don't want to, because of my love for you, I'm going to come and I'm going to save you. I'm going to save you. I'm going to pour my grace upon you whether you think you need it or not. I'm going to be there for you. And do you remember when Jesus was on the cross? At that point, was Jesus saying, whoo, there, it's done? No, he's still crying, he's bleeding. And he looks down at the people as they're mocking him, as they're throwing things at him, as they're poking him and making him bleed even more. And looking down, Jesus says, God, Father, forgive them, because they don't know what they're doing. Just forgive them. It's even in the low points that when we choose to love, that we reveal ourselves to be a covenant people. When we choose to stay in that covenant relationship and to be faithful, we reveal that we are a covenant people. We have to stop playing games in our relationships. We have to stop playing games in our relationship with God and with each other, especially in our home. In marriage, don't withhold acts of affection toward the other person. That includes sex, especially sex. Even people go, well, if I'm not feeling it, then I'm not going to have sex. You know what? That's not what Jesus says. Washing dishes. Talking, listening. Cleaning around the house. Holding each other's hands. Helping out. But I really think it's the sex part that we have the hardest time with. And that we manipulate the most. Because for me, even when I'm angry, I can still do the dishes. I might break a few, but I can still do the dishes. But that sex thing goes, I'm not feeling it, so I'm not going to do it. We manipulate that. But Jesus says, don't manipulate it. Whether you're in your high times or your low times, make sure you reveal that you are a covenant people. That you reveal yourself to be in a covenant relationship and love each other no matter what. Does that make sex seem passionless? Right? Does it? I don't think so. Because when we choose to follow through with the vows that we have made, to be your loving and faithful husband, wife, in plenty and in want, in joy and in sorrow, in sickness and in health, as long as we both shall live. When we choose to follow through with those vows, no matter what, when we choose that, it allows us to be a passionate people beyond our emotions. It allows us to have a deeper understanding of the love that Jesus commands and invites us to. Love is something, I think, that takes years to grow. Jean and I have been married. We're celebrating our 25 years of marriage, and I have known her 29 years. To me, that's crazy. 25 years? That is a long time. In a good sense. Not oh my gosh, 25, that's long. Not like that. But like, wow, that time went fast. It's been great. And when I reflect on those 25 years, I can't help but say that when two people first meet, or even when they get married, and I'm not trying to put a damper on the people that are getting married, but I really think that they don't really know each other yet. They don't know each other. They don't really love each other yet. Ooh. People that are just married, you don't love each other yet. When you first think you love somebody, you really don't. You know. It takes years. You actually love the idea of the person. The image you have in your head of the person. Oh, you know what? There's this image of me. And my wife probably fell for all of this. That is looking good. Man, could that thing be just as good at home as it is out here? You know, she takes this home, she finds clothes all over the floor, dishes never get done, things don't get done. You go, oh my gosh! That's not who I think that person was going to be. Right? It's not. But it's when you work through all of that, finding out even the negative parts of the other person, and you accept them and you grow with them and you say, I choose to love you, that you go deeper in your relationship. That initial love, infatuation, that passion you think you have, it's not deep passion. In the movie Lord of the Rings, I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. I will find some kind of an example in there for everything. Do we have another slide with some pictures? Do you guys remember those characters? Oh yeah. Eowyn, the princess, falls in love with Aragorn. But he cannot return the love. Because he sees this princess, and every time she sees him, her eyes are like, and she's got a big smile on her face. Like, oh. But Aragon sees this princess, and he knows that this isn't real love. And he says to her brother, he says this to her. He says, she loves you more truly than me. For you, she loves and knows. But in me, she loves only a shadow and a thought, a hope of glory and great deeds and lands afar. Because he knew that he was already in a loving relationship. And from that relationship, he knew that it took years to develop. It took years to have that cultivated love. And he knew this woman just looking at him one time and seeing his face, he knew that wasn't love. For all of us, love is more than an initial emotion that we have toward another person. It's about getting to know that person, all their negative things. It's about knowing their ugly side, their dirty side, and still loving them. For all of us, there is nothing like the warm comfort of being known and loved. Think about it. Is there any greater feeling than to be truly known and still be loved? When someone sees your worst, your flaws, your fears, your frustrations, and they are still committed to you, they still love you, and give themselves to you, that is the point in which we have a deeper experience of what love is. To be known and loved is what we need most in our life. It frees us from pretending. It frees us from our insecurities. It makes us secure enough that we don't have to be self-righteous and judge other people. It strengthens us for all the difficulties that life will bring. And life does bring a ton of difficulties. But when we are known and truly loved, it strengthens us for those times. And I believe to get there, we have to remember that we are a covenant people in a covenant relationship. I want to encourage all of you. When you are facing those times when you've got to decide, just remember in your minds, be able to say, I am a covenant people in a covenant relationship. I am going to love this person. I'm going to choose to love this person. Covenant is not without passion. I know I'm making it sound like it's your duty, right? But it is not without passion. But I really believe it is in covenant where you find true passion. When we can love people, even in our lowest points, when we don't feel like it, that's when you understand the passion of Christ. Covenant is where love can grow in truth of all of our goodness, but most of all, even in the midst of all of our ugly things. So I want to invite you guys to remember, you are a covenant people, and you are in a covenant relationship. And I pray that each day, as Jay said during the praise time, that we choose to let that grace of God fall on us every morning. Every morning to be able to say, I am a covenant people, and I am in a covenant relationship. And I encourage you, let's get our homes straightened out. If there is any difficulty, let's get our homes straightened out. Because you know what? We are meant to live beyond our families and our homes. We've got to get those things straightened out so that we can be a powerful witness in our community. So that we can send people all over the world and share the news of Jesus Christ. And to be able to say, as Paul said, if you need an example, follow me.